Welcome to Traveler's Tales. I am your host, Greg Alonzo. Today I will be your guide through history as we take a look at part 3 of The Travels of Marco Polo. Before we begin, just a quick reminder that we post new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday with special editions on Thursdays. Don't forget to hit the little bell icon to be notified each time we post new videos. Moving right along, mythology tells us one thing, while archaeology tells us another. What does the scholar community think of the travels of Marco Polo? Why do some make allegations of exaggeration? Why are there some omissions or incorrect facts in the text? Today we will answer these questions as we take a final look at the celebrated traveler. Skeptics have long wondered whether Marco Polo's journals were based on his travels or hearsay. This is because there are some noteworthy omissions about practices and structures in China. There are also some lack of details in parts of China that Marco claimed to have visited. While Marco describes paper money and the burning of coal, he fails to mention the Great Wall of China, tea, Chinese characters, chopsticks, and foot binding. To some of his critics, this suggests that Marco never actually reached China. Some believe that his accounts were based on Persian sources. They also believe that he has a prolonged stay in Constantinople while venturing no farther than Persia and some of the Italian Black Sea colonies. However, supporters of Marco Polo have countered that the Great Wall was built to keep northern invaders out, while the ruling dynasty during Marco's time in China were those very invaders. Why then would they have a reason to maintain the expense of such fortifications? Therefore, we have no idea in just what condition was the Great Wall. Do keep in mind that the next dynasty who outed the Yuan were the Ming. It was they who reconstructed the wall some 2 centuries after Marco Polo's tenure in China. Also, other Europeans have traveled to China during the Yuan dynasty and never mentioned the Great Wall. As for foot binding, this practice was not common amongst the Mongols, nor was it common with Chinese. Once again, no other foreign visitors to China during the Yuan dynasty mentioned foot binding, though Marco did comment on the dainty walk of Chinese women. As for tea and chopsticks, none of the other foreign travelers ever mentioned these items. I would add that Marco's account is quite accurate and more extensive. He points out that the use of Chinese nautical inventions, such as watertight compartments of bullhead partitions in Chinese ships, the latter proved invaluable to Venetians when Marco later shared this knowledge. It should be also taken into consideration that Marco also shared astronomical observations that he made while in China, Sumatra, and in the South China Sea with his contemporaries, one being Pietro de Abano. He recorded in his book Conciliator Differentiarum. There are those scholars who believe that Marco exaggerated his importance while in China, while on the other hand, there are those who believe that any such exaggerations were by his ghostwriter, Rustichello da Pisa. What about the Mongols and the Chinese? Do they make any references to Marco Polo's stay in China? Actually, they do. Foreign names are difficult for Chinese to pronounce, and they often come up with their own incarnations. According to the Chinese scholar Peng Hai, he identified Marco Polo with a certain Bulowo as a courtier of the emperor. This figure was mentioned in the Yuan Shi, which is a history of the Yuan dynasty. The character Boluo spends time in Ningxia in northeastern China and is later transferred to Hangzhou, which coincides with Marco's journals. While in Yangzhou, Marco served as an officer of the government for the salt monopoly. He was later then transferred to Hangzhou. According to the records, Marco was not the first foreigner to hold such a position of power in the empire of the Great Khan. It is a well-documented fact that Kublai Khan trusted foreigners more than his Chinese subjects when it came to internal affairs. What accounts for such errors and exaggerations? What is commonly forgotten is that Marco Polo's original journals have been lost to history. As for Rustichello's original text, it too has suffered the same fate. What is left are approximately 150 copies in different languages that are known to exist. It should also be pointed out that before the availability of the printing press, errors were frequently made during copying and translating, leaving us with many differences between the various copies. Nevertheless, what Marco Polo's book has to say about China is demonstrably correct. In fact, any claim that Marco did not go to China creates far more problems than it solves. In conclusion, the book is in essence authentic and can be trusted to be a serious work. This brings us to the end of Part 3 of the Travels of Marco Polo. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Traveler's Tales. If you enjoyed this video, please consider becoming a channel sponsor. Your support will enable us to continue making quality videos, and buying me a coffee always makes my day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Traveler's Tales. This really is the best way to help our channel grow. Until we meet again at the crossroads of folklore and fact, Cartistos.